And now, it's time for Healing from Within with your host, Tony Valen.
Welcome to Healing from Within. I'm your host, Tony Valen. You can contact me, tony@tonyvalen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Let's check in with one of our previous guests.
Hi, this is Colby from Enchanted Earth on behalf of Healing from Within with Tony Valen on Blog Talk Radio. To learn more about Enchanted Earth, go to enchantederth.com. Dunedin is spelled Dunedin. Our store is located at 733 Main Street in Dunedin, Florida, just east of historical downtown. Enchanted Earth is a store for you, so come by and sit for a spell. We are open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday, noon until 8 p.m., and Sunday, noon until 6 p.m. We are your one-stop shop for all your magical and mystical needs. For those looking for more spiritual insight, help with life direction, or alternative healing, we have a house full of talented readers and healers. You can go to our website for more information or contact us at 727-216-6594. Every first full weekend of the month, we have our Psychic Fair weekend. Our hours for the fair are noon till 8 on both Saturday and Sunday. So make your appointments today. Walk-ins, of course, are always available. For you out-of-towners, our spiritual advisors are available for phone readings. You can contact us at 727-216-6594. To learn more about our readers and healers that include palmist, tarot and oracle cards, tea leaf readings, past life regressions, animal medicine, shamanic, Reiki, Akashic records, lithomancy, and even licensed hypnotherapists, we have so much more in store for you. Go to enchantederthdunedin.com or call our store at 727-216-6594. Enchanted Earth offers several workshops and events throughout the month. Whether you're interested in group workshops or maybe one-on-one, we have an offer of wide variety. Want to circle up under the full moon? We offer open public full moon rituals and Sabbats. We have clearing and activation with Allison throughout the month. Check our website for more information. Drum circles hosted by Jamie every first and third Wednesday of the month. Make sure to visit EnchantedEarthDunedin.com and sign our guest book to receive our monthly newsletter with a full description of all of our workshops and events. Want tutoring specifically attuned to your interest? Our educators are available for one-on-one tutoring. 30-minute and 60-minute sessions are available. Like us on Facebook at Enchanted Earth. Postings every day on the goings-on Enchanted Earth can be found on our Facebook page. You can also find our daily specials and deals on Facebook. Our psychics offer daily universal readings, which have become quite popular. Come up in the near future, we look forward to having Witchcraft 101 with Navi and The Wonderful World of Crystals with Colby, two of our house favorite workshops. We are the premier spot for the best selection in crystals, cards, candles, books, and magical tools, and a full herb room and apothecary. Speaking of making your visit a little longer, we also offer tasty drinks, sodas, teas, and coffees. There's even a rumor that one of the Tampa Bay's best baristas is an in-house spiritual counselor. Enchanted Earth truly is where the locals go. This little house on 733 Main Street, Dunedin is the real deal. It's like stepping into an old world brick and mortar spiritual oasis, tucked into our little corner of the world. For all you witches and wizards, fairies and sprites, even for those just a little curious, we have something for you. So stop wasting your time going to 5 different shops to find your cauldron filled with all your goodies. Stop in today at Enchanted Earth at 733 Main Street, Dunedin. Visit our website at enchantedearthdunedin.com, and don't forget to like us on Facebook. For any other comments, questions, or concerns, please contact us at 727-216-6594. Many blessings to you all. Hope to see you soon. Once again, this is Colby from Enchanted Earth in Dunedin, Florida, on behalf of Healing from Within with Tony Valen on Block Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central.
Joining us on today's show is Lori Newlove. Lori is an intuitive reader, astrologer, metaphysician, herbalist, priestess of Shining Wheel Coven, and a member of the Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus. You can learn more about Lori by going to EnchantedEarthDunedin.com. Enchanted Earth is located at 733 State Road 580 in Dunedin, Florida. Phone number is 727-216-6594. Like Enchanted Earth on Facebook, and to learn more about Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus, you can go to shiningwheelband.com. Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony.
Well, we're very happy to have you here. So let's get started with the first question I always ask. What are your gifts, and how did your journey begin?
Well, I am intuitive and empathic. I also have healing ability. And how I began, well, let's see. I always have been intuitive. As a child, I would kind of get in trouble for it. And so I tried to stop being intuitive. And I was able to squelch it down, kind of shut it down for a few years. So I went away to college, and then it all came rushing back.
Wow.
So, and then one of the things that happened that was a catalyst for me was I went to New Orleans, and I saw a reader, and she gave me a crystal ball and said, "You're going to need this." Within a month, I had picked up my first tarot deck, and it sort of really accelerated. Everything really accelerated after that.
It's wonderful. So you work with crystals. Tell us about that.
Well, I actually have taught a lot about working with crystals in addition to doing crystal healing layouts. And one of the things that I did along my journey was about 25 years ago. I trained with Katrina Raphael, who wrote several books on crystal healing. And I already could sense energies from rocks, especially quartz. Quartz I find particularly noisy. And I found that by having stones in my presence when I did readings or did healing, it amplified my abilities. So that was my first inkling that there was something going on with crystals. And then I had the good fortune to work in a crystal store in Berkeley, and I was the manager, and that really amplified my both awareness and exposure to crystals. And by placing stones on the body and lining up the color of the stones with the color of the chakras, it's a really good and quick way to bring chakras into alignment. That's one of my main things that I do with crystals, but I also have them around in my house I have my house gridded with crystals to create a sense of peace and calm and facilitate healing for all the people that drop by and need that here. Crystals also help to amplify intuitive information, empathic experiences for people. So just having them around in the environment is useful.
You mentioned crystal healing layout. What exactly is that?
Well, it's a form of healing that's a combination of a guided meditation and placement of the stones on your actual body. It goes along. There's some other things that happen with it too. For instance, I start the process by making sure the person's grounded, and then I kind of check in with their auric to see, what I can sense around what might be out. It's sort of like an alignment, a chiropractic alignment, but with your energy fields instead of your bones.
When you check on the chakras and the alignment, you feel them, but do you also see them or just feel them?
Both. I can see and feel them. But it's weird because I see them with my eyes closed. I can't, I sometimes can see with my eyes open, but when it's almost like my hands have like some kind of color receptors or something, because I don't actually touch people when I'm checking their aura. My hands are about 2 to 6 inches off of the body. Mm-hmm. And then I put my hands like kind of hover over the area, and then I close my eyes and I can see the colors of the auras and like what's going on. If there's dark color, if there's stuck energy, if it's flowing well, I can see all that, but I see it with my eyes closed.
When you're looking at evaluating the chakras and the energy, is it related to, I know it's energy, but is it also related to the physical organs that are within the body?
Yes. By getting the chakras aligned and in their colors and having them spin the way they're supposed to spin, which is what you can do with a crystal healing layout. You can like move the sluggish energy, and sometimes one chakra is overstimulated, so you have to like kind of tone that one down, and so that they all vibrated about the same amplification. That has a direct effect on the organs that are related to whatever chakras that is. So like you can absolutely feel much better. Your organs and everything, your organs, your skin, your blood, your lymphatic system can all get happier, shinier, and better with having your chakras aligned, of course. But the organs themselves is often what causes the chakras to look strange.
And as far as the laying out of crystals in a certain place, like a house or whatnot, how does that work in conjunction with Feng Shui, or is it two different things?
Well, I thought they dovetail nicely, and I believe that Feng Shui uses stones. I know they use the elements, earth, air, fire, and water to do some of the balancing, but I believe that crystals are considered part of the earth element. So I'm pretty sure that Feng Shui uses crystals to enhance earth elements in the practice. I think they do go together.
Tell us about your work with herbs and aromatherapy. Okay.
Well, let's see. It's a touch controversial at the beginning of that. Is that all right to talk about?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, since we had 420 yesterday, I really don't feel so shy about it. And all the things that are coming along with medicinal marijuana, people are getting a clue that it actually is an herb that does more than just, make you high. It's really good medicinally. But when I was in college, because that's how a lot of these stories start, I got high, shocking. And I was like, well, if this plant can do this, maybe some other plants do other things too. So I started studying medicinal botany because my degree is, I have 2 degrees. One of them is in biology. And I studied medicinal botany, and I also started working at the co-op up in Tallahassee. I went to Florida State, and I started learning about other herbs that did other things, and I experimented on myself, and I learned about a bunch of natural ways to ease cramps and to calm stress and to do all kinds of things. And I was like, well, this is great. I mean, all these other herbs are working too. Herbs are great. So I just started self-study in addition to the biology and botany background. I started, like I said, experimenting on myself and tried a bunch of things for just to see what would happen. And I spent years doing this and learned great natural ways to treat a number of ailments. And then when I trained as a midwife, one of the areas of study was also herbalism. So I enhanced my knowledge like that. And it's been 33 years since I've been doing that. So now I have a pretty good background in advising. Let's see, how do I put this? I can't take the place of a medical doctor, and you should seek your professional advice. But folklore has it that this herb will help this thing. You got to be real circuitous when you recommend things like that in the way that I just was, because you don't want to be giving medical advice. But
yeah, I agree. And and speaking of that, what do you think is the history of people getting the idea that medicinal marijuana is a bad thing?
Well, that's real simple. The 2 things happened in the 30s that created this current situation that we have now. There was a very rich man DuPont, a lot of people may have heard of him, who wanted to have, basically his products were in competition with him. He had petroleum byproducts, which included nylon, which he wanted nylon to be used as rope instead of hemp rope. He had a bunch of timber and wanted paper to be from trees instead of hemp. So he went after it because of money. He wanted to like get rid of the competition. And then this other man named Anslinger is his last name. I think his first name is Harry. Basically wanted a job. He was the first drug czar, and he created a campaign and basically made up a lot of stuff. And it seemed to have an economic component too, because in the 30s there was the Depression, and there was this stirring. There was they were fomenting to the press to say, "Oh, Mexicans are taking our jobs, and blacks are taking our jobs," and the common element for the jazz musician and the Mexican worker was marijuana. And so the Anslinger went on a campaign and did that crazy movie called Reefer Madness, and basically to get himself a job, and got everybody scared about it. And the thing that was the most annoying to me in studying this is finding out that the AMA didn't realize that hemp and cannabis and marijuana were all the same thing, and so they weren't really paying attention to it. And cannabis used to be a really common treatment. Prior to the 30s, you will see like basically a physician's desk reference. Everything was, well, marijuana helps for or cannabis helps for this, and cannabis helps for this, and cannabis is prescribed for this and this and this. And when they took that away, the AMA had all kind of meetings with the government saying, wait, we didn't realize that cannabis and marijuana were the same thing. We need that. We use it too much. And by then it was too late. And that really is what got us to here. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and I've always thought about that, because I'm thinking, I knew it had to do with money. I'm sure they wanted to make money instead of having this natural way of healing. Of course, they want to sell the drugs, so it makes sense, definitely.
Follow the money. It's always like that.
Yeah, isn't that sad? So now going on to the other side, we're talking about herbs. What about aromatherapy? Is it as powerful as herbs, or what are your thoughts?
Well, okay. So in the study of herbs, I naturally ended up, for me, studying aromatherapy too. And the first thing that I like to say in my aromatherapy classes is that the only opening to the brain directly from the outside of the body is through the nose. And I also say that the scent is the most evocative of all the senses for memory. For instance, if you smell something, it can take you immediately back to the thing you were doing when you first smelled that. You know what I'm talking about? Like how scent can transport you. Mm-hmm. Have you had that experience? Okay. And so those are two of the things that I begin the class with to show people how strong scent is. And I've had really good success with aromatherapy, especially working on to soothe jangled nerves. Having aromatherapy and breathing the scent in of, say, lavender. Lavender is a great example. From just working with a couple herbs, I expanded my knowledge around it and work with other things. And aromatherapy, you use pure essential oils, and it is important to use pure essential oils for aromatherapy rather than fragrance oils. And there's a big difference. Fragrance oils are synthetic and man-made. Essential oils are plant extracts, and the vapors of them contain all kind of interesting compounds that will actually go into your system and do some work on you at a cellular level. In addition to breathing it in, you can use the essential oils topically often, but some you have to be careful with that and cut some of them. You should read up on it. You shouldn't just like willy-nilly do this. You want to cut them often with almond oil or olive oil, something like that, to apply topically. And there are occasionally some that you can take internally too. But again, I would always recommend using caution before applying it to my skin or taking it internally. I would want to know what I was doing, make sure that you're well informed. But just having aromatherapy stuff happening in the air can create all kinds of change. And I absolutely recommend aromatherapy as a way to get an environment. For instance, say you work in a job situation that's just tense and negative all the time, and people are going to be adverse to you, say smudging the area, which is the number one thing I would want to use to cleanse a negative space, is smudging, using sage and sweetgrass. But that's a little too much in some office settings. So plugging in a little diffuser with a couple drops of lavender will just chill the whole office out and make your work day and work environment that much more happy and relaxing. So that's one of the things I absolutely believe in. I've utilized it. I've seen it work. I'm all for aromatherapy. Yes, it does work.
Sounds wonderful, yeah. So what type of recommendation can you tell someone if they're looking to do aromatherapy, but they want to shop for the actual essential oils and not the synthetics? What's the difference, or how can you tell the difference?
Well, I would think you should just be able to ask. But one of the things that I know Enchanted Earth has is the pure essential oils, and that's one of the reasons I appreciate Enchanted Earth is because they carry these great things. But if you're at a place that has essential oils and you're not sure, just by asking, are these essential oils or are they fragrance oils? And if they're fragrance oils, do you have any essential oils? People that are selling to you should be able to say, yes, these are essential oils, these are fragrance oils, and it should say right on the label.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about that, sage. You said it wasn't something for the office, and I agree, because sometimes when you burn sage, of course, it smells like marijuana. So is there something else you can use to clear negativity besides sage?
Yes, the lavender essential oil. You can also use a couple drops each of frankincense and myrrh. Will do it. Sandalwood essential oil will also clear negativity and cleanse the atmosphere. Those are like the top 4 that I recommend.
What do you think of the Himalayan salt lamps?
My best experience around the Himalayan salt lamp would be to tell you about my experience in a salt cave. Now, there are some spas in the area. I was in Tallahassee when I went to the first one, but there's some in the area here where they have a room that's just lined with Himalayan salt. And you go in and they have the light behind it, and you go in and you sit in a chair and you're just surrounded by salt. And they usually have a 30-minute session or a 60-minute session. Now, I don't know if you know anything about Tallahassee, but it is one of the worst places for pollen and sinus troubles in the country. And one day, as an experiment, I was like, well, this was new. This was just last year. This is a fairly new thing. My girlfriend and I had discovered that they had a salt cave, and one of the things they said was sit in here for a half hour, and it will improve your breathing, and get help your pollen assimilate better, and help it get out of your face, and you'll just overall feel better from the crazy pollen in the air. You'll breathe better. And we're like, well, we both of us have sinus issues. This would be a good experiment for us to do. So we went in, we sat for the half hour and came out, and it was amazing the difference that I noticed from being in that salt environment. So that was like a big clue to me that the Himalayan salt lamps absolutely create a cleaning and healing environment. They're supposed to, as far as I recall, generate some negative ions too, so that you feel better. So they do 2 things. They work in 2 ways. They facilitate breathing by just having the atmosphere be cleaner, and they have you feel better and be uplifted because they generate negative ions. So yes, I think they work, and that has been my experience, is that they do.
Tell us about sound as healing and a healing touch.
Well, sound as healing. One of the things that I'm kind of known for is all the classes and workshops and rituals that I do. I start by toning. I have everybody tone with me the sound Om. Toning Om does many things, but one of the things it does is it brings you present. It has you be here and now. It facilitates grounding, and it allows you to sync up your energy with the energy of the people that are around you. So that was my starting point for sound as healing, was learning toning of Om. And then I expanded, and there's some other things. Ma is another common sound of toning and healing. And then part of my yoga practice, I started doing Kundalini yoga, and that all is about breath work and chanting. And I just started working with sounds, dovetailed with crystal healing, and I would use, and I still use, Tibetan bowls. I'd do the crystal healing layout with all the stones, and then I'd get the the Tibetan bowls and start playing them, or the big crystal bowls. Have you seen those quartz crystal bowls?
I have not, but I would love to see them. The only ones I've seen are the ones made out of brass.
Okay, I have both kinds. I like them equally well. The toning on the quartz crystal bowls is a bit more intense, and I love that. But because they're so big, the brass ones you can actually put right on the body. You can't really balance a giant quartz bowl on somebody's belly or neck or whatever. But by combining the crystals and the sound, it amplifies everything and just speeds the process. And sound is another way of relaxing. Everybody finds music. There's the genre of music that everybody finds relaxing, whichever one that speaks to you as an individual. But I believe everybody has to have experienced hearing music and feeling more relaxed. And that carries on into healing, too. And so using the toning, the bowls, and then additionally drumming, because drumming helps normalize heartbeat rhythms. So drumming also can be used as another adjunct to healing. So those are my three main things. And then, of course, all of that led into our coven using sound to raise energy, which led us to chanting all the time, which led to us saying, hey, let's write our own chants, which led to the first CD. So all of that came together like that.
Just for someone that would be interested in looking into Tibetan bowls or the crystal bowls, what's the price difference?
Well, it's about size and intricacy. You can find small quartz bowls that are comparable in price to like medium to larger, more intricate brass Tibetan bowls. Typically, the Tibetan bowls are cheaper because you can get them the size of your hand. You can get a handheld size one. And if they're plain brass or sometimes copper lined, if it's plain brass, it will be less expensive. But sometimes if a design gets put on them or some other metal like copper, for instance, gets put on to like change the healing properties, the price, of course, would go up. So Tibetan bowls tend to start out more affordably than quartz bowls. But once you get up into the bigger Tibetan bowls, then they're starting to be comparable to smaller quartz. So I think it's easier for people to start with Tibetan bowls. They're easy. I mean, sometimes it can be intimidating to smack the side of a quartz bowl with the dowel that makes it make the noise. You're more afraid if you're new that you're going to break it. Whereas when you're smacking the brass bowls, you're not going to be worried about it. But once you get some practice, there's no reason not to either use both or switch over to quartz, whatever. It's going to be what you're drawn to and what your preference is and what your budget will allow.
That's right.
I don't really say that. I can't say one is better than the other. But, in terms of accessibility, I think the Tibetan ones are going to be more accessible.
Yeah. You do work with spells and psychometry. Tell us about that.
Psychometry is basically the study of objects and whatever vibrations that one can get off of them. And I use psychometry primarily in my mediumship because I find it's easier. When you're trying to find people who've passed on, they're not necessarily readily accessible, except at Samhain when the veils are really thin. But sometimes, if people are wanting to talk to their beloved that have passed on, you can't. It's dialing them up just randomly isn't as effective as having an object that had belonged to them, and because you can match the vibration better. So it helps me with my mediumship to tap into the vibration of people who've gone beyond. Now, the other thing that I find useful, psychometry also can help me find people who are lost. I've done that before. And then the last thing that psychometry that I work with is photographs. I can do readings, just cold readings for people that I've never met. I don't know how I can do it. I'm not sure how that works, but just as if I'm holding a photograph of somebody, I can start reading about what's going on for them currently. The photograph could be 10 years old or whatever. I just can't. It's one of the other things I can do. So that's psychometry, basically being able to have an object of somebody's and find and match your vibration to that and then sync up what's going on with the object and you and them. Does that make sense? Did you follow that?
Absolutely, yes. In other words, so this is what I'm getting out of it. You're able to read someone's energy from a certain object, the
Yes.
energy, or the, what's the word I'm looking for? The residue energy, is that right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, got it. And the spell work.
Spellwork. Okay, so I don't believe it's any secret to anybody that I'm a witch, and that's part of the path of witchcraft is spell work. Now, my primary spell work has to do with healing because that's my main focus of my magic. But there's other things, other spell work that I like to do, which is to foster abundance. And spellwork is a lot like prayer, but with cooler accoutrements. It's a focus of your intent. And you can utilize items in your environment. The classic candle, for instance, is a good way to help you focus on spell. And you're setting your intent and using things will help you set your intent. Candles, using the right color candle, using an herb that aligns with the intent of your spell, picking the right day, sometimes the right hour, the right phase of the moon, like trying to use all the external environment to help your brain really pinpoint and be specific about what you want to manifest in your environment. Be that more money, a job, a house, health, that kind of stuff. That is kind of prayer in action is another way to describe spell work, and focusing your intent to bring about your desired will. Those are the two ways I would define spell work. But I have found that as I have done these things, all these metaphysical things over so many years, that my setup for everything is way less elaborate than it used to be. Like I used to bring out all the things, I'd have crystals and the candles and align everything, and then after doing it, now I can just kind of manifest with a focused thought. I would say practice, kids. It gets better.
Another thing that I know I was reading up on you is tell us about astral projection.
That is basically having an out-of-body experience, but doing it on your time rather than it just spontaneously happening to you. Now, I know that may not happen to everybody, but it has happened to me. When I was young, I started astral projecting randomly, and that was a little scary. I would be doing something, and I'd all of a sudden find myself out of my body, looking down on myself. And I remember the first time it happened, when I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And I went back into my body. I was really pretty scared because it's a little disconcerting at first, especially if you weren't expecting it to happen or trying for it to happen. And so I talked to a friend of mine, and I was like, "So this thing happened," and I was worried that I wouldn't come back. And he had a little more practice in the metaphysical realms than I did. I mean, I was all 16 and he was all 17, but he'd read just a little bit more on it. He goes, no, you'll always come back. Don't worry. Just let it ride. I'm like, okay. So the next time it happened, I didn't try to come back to my body. I just kind of floated around and looked at stuff. And after a little bit, you just kind of naturally find yourself back. I was like, all right, well, that's cool. Now let me figure out a way to do this with some focus and intent so that it's not just happening randomly and I can have it happen when I want it to. And so I worked on that, and now I'm able to astral project fairly well, whenever and wherever I need to go. I find it to be useful to check on my children when they're not around, and other loved ones. Let me just pop over there and see how everybody's doing in case I can't get somebody on the cell phone.
Right.
So as a mom, I found that to be a really useful skill. But also in healing, sometimes you can't. You're trying to heal somebody that's not in the same place that you are, and being able to go and see how they're doing and see what's going on, but being in the room with them, looking at their energy, it creates a more effective idea of what you need to do for them, rather than just hearing what they're saying to you on the phone. Like somebody could talk to me about, oh, I'm having this thing that's going on, and while I'm talking to them on the phone, I can project myself to where they are, check them out, and see if what they're telling me matches what I'm seeing. So I find that useful too.
And if the listeners wanted to get more information on you, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can always contact me through Enchanted Earth on 733 Main Street, Dunedin. I think you've got a little blob there.
Yes.
And I have an email for Shining Wheel Band. Lori Newlove at shiningwheelband.com is another way to get a hold of me. Those are my main and I'm on Facebook.
Awesome. And if a listener wants to have a reading with you, can you tell us what they could expect? What is your method of operation?
The thing I use most frequently is tarot, and I use that basically as a jump start to the psychic stuff going on. It just kind of shortens the process for me. I can do it without tarot, but I just like to use them because it just like makes it go faster. And also I do astrology charts, and I've done astrology charts for about the same number of years, about 33 years also. I like doing charts for people at their birthday to see what their year is going to be like. I also do rune readings, and sometimes I'll have people sit with a bowl of crystals and have them pick some out and then just do a reading based on the stones that they're connected to.
This is Tony Valen, Healing from Within. You can contact me, Tony at TonyValen.com, or visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Follow the show on Twitter, at TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen, or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. We're talking to our guest, Lori Newlove. Lori is an intuitive reader, astrologer, metaphysician, herbalist, priestess of the Shining Wheel Coven, and a member of the Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus. You can learn more about Lori by going to EnchantedEarthDunedin.com. Enchanted Earth is located at 733 State Road 580, Dunedin, Florida. Their phone number is 727-216-6594. Like Enchanted Earth on Facebook. To learn more about Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus, you can go to shiningwheelband.com. Now, Lori, you also teach several programs at Enchanted Earth. Tell the listeners about the programs you teach.
Well, the main things that I teach at Enchanted Earth are longer classes. I don't do so many just one-night workshops. I tend to do ones that are series because I teach kind of at a college level, and the classes that I start build from the first class to the second to the third, then all the information builds on itself. And you, at the end of whatever class I'm teaching you, I'm trying to teach you to do what I do. So I teach a 6-week tarot class, and I break the deck down into first just study the major arcana, and we take one card a night of the major arcana. And I give homework, and then the second week we do the second 7, and then the third week we do the last 7 of the major arcana. And then the next 3 weeks we break down the minor arcana, so that you're really getting a lot of minutia around the cards and a lot of practice. And as the classes go, I start with you doing readings that night. Like the first night you do a 1-card reading because you've learned 3 cards or whatever. The next night you'll do 3-card reading with the 7 cards that you've learned about. The next time it'll be 5-card reading, like that. So like you're getting hands-on experience in addition to having homework and being like immersed in the tarot environment. So that at the end of the 6 weeks, you've done a lot of readings and can start doing readings to practice so that you can be a tarot reader. With the astrology class, I'm sorry, my bad. It's a 9-week class of tarot. With the astrology class, it's a 6-week class where I help you memorize the information of the basic zodiac signs and how to read a chart and how to break it down. And I teach you with your chart. I teach you how to read the basic stuff of the chart, which is the signs of the zodiac plus the houses that they appear on the chart wheel. And then once you have a familiarity, an overview and familiarity with it, I ask you to bring in a different chart so that you can practice on somebody that you know in addition to your chart. So that at the end of it, you have a good grasp of, if at least not how to read a chart without your notes, how to at least break a chart down so that you know even what to look up, even if you're going to just Google the information, because astrology is very detail oriented, and it's like learning another language. So I feel like I help facilitate the study of the language of astrology, and that's what I do. So those are my 2 main things that I do. I also do herbal workshops on medicinal herbs and aromatherapy workshops. Those are my shorter ones. So those are my main things that I contribute.
Recently, we heard that you had a grandbaby. Tell the listeners about your new experience.
Well, that was really exciting for me because I studied as a midwife, and one of my thoughts years ago when I was studying to be a midwife in California was that, someday I might be able to deliver my own children, which is something that got to happen when my daughter gave birth. It was 2 months ago, my bad. 2 months ago, wow. It was Sunday. Mm-hmm. She had another midwife, because she wanted me to be the mom and not the main midwife. She didn't want me to worry about being the main midwife for her, which I thought was really cool. So I got to have the best of both worlds. I got to do midwifing things and help my daughter, during her labor and birth, but I wasn't primarily in charge, so I could focus on just being a mom also. So that was really great. And it's just, being at birth is always miraculous, but I also find being at death miraculous too. I mean, watching the soul come into the body is pretty intense and cool. Watching it leave the body is also pretty intense and cool for different reasons. I will just quickly say about that every death that I've ever been at, there's been a whole cadre of people that the person that's about to pass, that, like friends and loved ones, gather in the room. It's like a party. It's really amazing. And just everybody that loves the person that's about to pass gathers as a welcoming committee. So it's not scary. And I mean, it's, from my perspective, it's not scary. It's pretty cool. But that was an aside, because like a lot of people are afraid of death, and I don't, from my experience, I don't see any reason to fear it. But birth, watching the soul come in, I had this experience of being in the room, and it was about an hour and a half before the baby came out into the world. This golden light came into the room and went I felt it rush through me to my daughter, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was my granddaughter's soul just passed through the room in this burst of golden light. It was very cool. I loved that. And then she was born in a tub.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I love her. Her name's Ariana Yvette, and I'm madly in love with her. I love her so much.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
The last question I want to ask is, you're a manager of the Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus. Tell us all about that.
Okay, well, there's a common expression in the pagan community about trying to get pagans to do something called herding cats. That is my experience of being a manager of this band.
Wow.
Because while we all love music and love singing and love just the experience of the band, we also have day jobs. This isn't our primary thing. So trying to get people to get their schedules to match up, to come to band practice and get things, be in the studio and all of that is a little bit stressful, let's say, but I'm absolutely devoted to making music, and especially for the pagan community, because I think it's an underdeveloped niche, and I enjoy the process of writing songs with my fellow band members and performing them and making CDs for basically the world to enjoy. It turns out that for the last 3 years, we are selling worldwide, not just in the United States, but all over the world. I found it really surprising when our sales started really jumping up in Japan. That caught me off guard, but we're in Japan and Sweden and South America, all over the place, Australia. When we sing, we do have done gigs all over the South at pagan festivals. Mm-hmm. And the goal of our music, not only for sales but in person, is to raise energy and have people feel a sense of joy. So it's spiritual. It's like the pagan equivalent of gospel music. It's uplifting and happy, and it talks about the mythological energies of the god and goddess and the sun and moon and nature and all that stuff. And that's our focus, and that's our joy, and that's my joy for managing them. But I also get to sing in the band too, so it's good.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is it that you exactly do in the band? I mean, besides managing, do you have a? Yeah,
I sing, and I've written and co-written most of the songs, the lyrics. I don't write music that often. Sometimes a song will come to me with the music, but more frequently I'll get the lyrics, and I'll go to one of the Bryans and say, okay, this is what I'm getting. You got any sound for this? Or another thing that we commonly do is we have a day that's called Chanty Bits, and we get together and we bring all the things that we've been working on, and we sit together and we'll spend like the whole day working on each other's music and co-creating the songs that end up on our CDs. And that's something I love too, is the co-creativity of these energetic and bright folk together making music for people to enjoy. It's another source of happiness and joy for us all.
That's wonderful. So what's next for Lori Newlove?
That's a good question. I'm going to Iceland in July, and I'm pretty excited about checking out this weird environment. And they have a pagan temple that they're building to Odin, which will be the first one that has been built. I think it's like 1,000 years or something. I can't remember the exact amount of time it's been since there's been a temple devoted to Odin, but I'm kind of curious about checking that out for sure. I know that we're working on another CD. I don't know. I like all the things I do so well. I kind of think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, but more so.
Well, Lori, I want to thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time to educate us and let us into your world.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Tony. It's been a pleasure.
Our thanks to Lori Newlove. Lori is an intuitive reader, astrologer, metaphysician, herbalist, priestess of the Shining Wheel Coven, and a member of the Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus. You can learn more about Lori by going to EnchantedEarthDunedin.com. Enchanted Earth is located at 733 State Road 580 in Dunedin, Florida. The phone number is 727-216-6594. Like Enchanted Earth on Facebook. To learn more about Shining Wheel Pagan Chorus, you can go to shiningwheelband.com. You are listening to Healing from Within with Tony Valen here on Blog Talk Radio, airing Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Visit our website, healingfromwithin.net. Contact me directly, Tony@TonyValen.com. Please follow the show on Twitter @TVHFW. The show is also available on iTunes and YouTube. Just search Healing from Within with Tony Valen or look for the Tony Valen channel on YouTube. Thank you so much, and love and light from all of us here at Healing from Within.
Triumph and tears.